Lori here. I'm here to do kind of a shorter video, but I always pick a very, very massive list of TBR for the fall because I normally, sorry, I'm changing my angle. What I normally do is I normally get a lot of standalones or first books in a series that I just save over the year to read, and I just literally stockpile them. So I have about like 25 books that I want to tackle this fall. School is still very, very up in the air about what's going to happen, but I do hope to addition to all those to kind of complete some series that I've been in the middle of. So I'm going to kind of just chat through them right now and make them like a priority. But the first seasons the first series I do want to finish is I would love to finish the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Madabascalco. It is a 4-book series. I read the first 2. I still need to read the last 2, so that's going to be one series that's high on my TBR. She's also coming out with her new book this fall, which is Kingdom of Wicked, which I'm so excited for. It sounds right up my alley, but I do like to read things in publication order. So that is one series I really, really want to get to. I also do want to finish the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. I have read one book, and now I think there's 2 or possibly 3 books out. I think one's coming out soon, but I definitely do want to finish that one. I think I might get the audiobooks for that one. I also desperately, desperately want to restart and read Sadie by Courtney Summers, which is her debut that I have an audiobook for. I started listening to it last year, and it was right when I was going to Virginia, and I got like ridiculously distracted. So I need to actually kind of like restart that book and kind of attempt to finish it. Because it's been about a year since I started reading it. I also would love to catch up on the Wizards of One series by Cressida Cowell, I think. I know the audiobooks are like read by David Tennant. So I actually am going to try to make that a book that I am adding to my TBR. In addition, I would love to catch up on the Neil Patrick Harris series, the one about magic. I've read the first 2. I need to get the third one. But that is a book that I have had high on my TBR for a while. And I would love to kind of catch up on that as well. There are a lot of witch books I do have that are like high on my TBR. But the one that I recall that I remember really wanting to read is by Jessica Spotwood. I can't remember the first name of the series. I think Born Wicked, I think the name of it. That's one I've had on my TBR for so long. I just have to locate it because I don't remember where I put it. Also, a series that I desperately want to catch up on is the Dash of Trouble series. I read book 1 during this COVID period, and I really wound up liking it. And another series I really, really want to complete reading is the Windy City Magic series by Crystal Cesare. I have 1 book left in that series, and I have the audiobook, so I really hope that I'm able to kind of add that to my TBR as well, because it's another one that's quick, and if I am commuting back and forth, I can always have an audiobook, which I'm super excited about. Just kind of looking, that's kind of my focus on the backlist books that I want to read. I have a lot. I was looking at my pile over there. I have quite a few that I want to add to my physical TBR, and I'm going to be doing that starting in September and October, November are normally the months that I read creepy books. I am very, very much a mood reader, but let me know in the comments, sorry this is such a short video, but let me know in the comments what are some backlist spooky reads that you recommend, or backlist spooky series that you recommend that I try to tackle. I can never know all the books, but these are just some that kind of piqued my fancy immediately. But I hope you guys are staying safe and being well, and let's have a chit chat in the comments. Bye guys. Hey guys, Lori here. I'm actually here to start a new reading vlog. It's actually Saturday, and I don't normally start reading vlogs on Saturday, but I figured I would start this one because the next week I'm gonna do like a focused reading vlog, I'll say. Last week, I'll be honest, was not my best reading week. I was not feeling my best, I'll say that. I was having a lot of issues with being really, really stressed out and anxiety, but I'm hopeful this week will be a little bit better. It's just, I'm going to say this in a lot of my reading vlogs. For the next couple of weeks going forward, I'm really unsure what my school is going to do. As those that don't know, I'm working at as a DEO theater teacher in Astoria, Queens, and right now everything's pretty much up in the air. So it's just causing a lot of uncertainty in my life, and I'm just like a little bit anxious. So for the next like month, I have a lot of blog tours that I'm on, and a lot of them I have to read like 2 to 3 books to like complete the requirements. So I'm really gonna focus this week on kind of reading as much of those tours as I can, and I've also like volunteered to be on more. I don't know if I'm gonna be chosen, but I do have like quite a few books for those, and they're all like early September, and early September is gonna be chaos for me with everything that's going on. So my goal is to kind of focus on those. I think it's 5 books right off the bat that I know that I have to read. And I'm gonna kind of focus this vlog on those. It may not, I may split it into 2 parts. It just depends on how long it's gonna be, because I am gonna be vlogging from Saturday to Sunday. So we'll see how long it is, because it's gonna be like, it's probably gonna be a 2-part reading vlog. But the books I hope to tackle in the next week is Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan, which is the first book in her book series, and then her second book, Curse of Gold, I think. Let me look it up. I think it's Curse of Gold. Curse of Gold comes out in early September, and I have been chosen for the blog tour for that. So this is probably one of my focus books, and I'm actually going to start this today, and hopefully I can finish it. It's not that long. My arc is only like, I think it's like just 300 pages. So hopefully I can finish this. So this is the first series I'm going to work on. And then the next one I want to work on is The Quiet You Carry and Quiet No More. These are some darker contemporary novels, and the second one's coming out. The first one is already out. So I'm just going to kind of read those back to back. And then another one is Furia, which is a contemporary novel that I'm on a blog for early September. So those are like the 5 books that I'm going to focus on for this reading vlog. I don't think I'm going to finish them all, but I do definitely want to finish these 5 books before I kind of go to some other contemporaries that I do want to read before the end of summer. But I know that by that point, I'll probably know a little bit more about school, and I'll be less intrigued to read some high fantasy. So that's kind of my plans right now. I am going to go start reading Touch of Gold, and give you guys my thoughts. I started this like a month ago, and then I just wound up putting it down. But at that point, I didn't realize I was going to be on a blog tour. I adored her book, The Tiger Queen. Like, loved it. It was one of my favorite books of 2019. So I'm really happy to pick up her debut. And also, this book is on is one of my TBR and Beyond props to read a debut, because this was her debut. This is a King Midas retelling, I think. And that's all that I know. So I'm really excited. Also, during this reading vlog, I will probably be listening to Winter by Marissa Meyer, which is my audiobook, which is like 22 hours. I think I'm like 15 hours in, which is pretty good, but not that great. So I'm going to keep making some progress on that. My goal is to finish that before the end of August. So, sorry for this long intro, but I'm going to go start Touch of Gold, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. He's Lori here. I'm trying to suck up as much time outside as I can before my computer dies, because my computer core doesn't work outside. But I did want to say that I did wind up reading about 30 pages of Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan. It's definitely reminding me a lot of Tiger Queen, but this is a series. But it basically follows this girl named Cora, and she is the daughter of King Midas. We all know the story of King Midas. But this book has a little bit of twist. He turned his daughter to gold, and when he got back, when he like revived her, he didn't follow Dionysus's rules correctly, so she kind of has still a touch of gold on her face, so she looks like that. And she has other powers that kind of come out, and everyone is afraid of her. Basically, they don't want to marry her. They think she's cursed. But she winds up finding this young duke who's kind of interested in marrying her, and I'm sure that will kind of set off another thing. But the back makes me think that there will be more of an adventure theme to this, and I'm really excited for that. But I've only read the first like 32 pages. But I'm really liking it. It's definitely a fast-paced novel. I said that about Tiger Queen that I read by Annie Sullivan last year. Really liked it. Found it to be such a solid-paced story. That was a standalone. This is going to be a series. But I'm really liking the character. I think that she's dealing with a lot in this story. Already, like, just starting out, she kind of she's very, very isolated from her father, because her father feels extremely guilty, but also doesn't want to see her, because from seeing her, he reminds what he did to her. But I'm really curious like what this book will be, but I'm going to go back to reading, and I'll update you guys when I read about page 50. Bye. guys, Lori here, I'm back. It's about 7 o'clock. I did actually wind up reading to page 100 in Not Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan. This book is really not necessarily what I was expecting, but it's really, really fun. It's been a bit since I read a book like this. Like, I really like books that have characters that are kind of dealing with a power or something that they really, really can't control, which I think is really interesting. I'm really liking Cora as the main character. I think she's super fun, and I like her point of view a lot. I also love books that have like a pirate aspect or like a ship aspect. The last one I remember reading was All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace, which I really wound up liking. This book definitely has a sea element to it, and it's one that I'm super interested by. Like, I think that's part of it's really, really fun. And I always like Annie Sullivan's main characters. Her last one I really, really loved. I also like that we have a lot of male characters in this book, but they're also very, very different. We also have Hetty, Cora's relationship with her cousin, which I'm really, really fond of. And I like that there's a bunch of different types of males on this ship, and there's also kind of an adventure plot. It's just such a fun read. Like, I'm really liking this one. I can tell that this pacing is much more to my liking. Her writing style is very, very easy to process and very, very fast paced, but it's one that I'm really, really enjoying. I don't know if I'm going to read any more tonight because I really read a lot for Paulo Santiago, but that pacing I struggled with. So I think what I might do is I might take a little bit of a reading break, and then decide if I'm going to read any more later, but I'll definitely update you guys if I do decide to read that. But I'm probably going to watch a couple of episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I really do want to get up to date on that, or not like as farther as I can. But that's kind of the plans right now, and I do want to watch a little bit more Good Witch. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go watch 2 episodes, like 1 and 1, and then I might come back and try to read a little bit more. That's probably what I'm going to do. But yeah, so that's my update. I really am liking Touch of Gold. Hi guys, Lori here, I'm back. I just want to say that it is about 7 o'clock. I did wind up getting up to page 100 in A Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan. This book is definitely, I think it's been on my shelf for so long because I wasn't really sure what to expect with this read, but it's one that I'm really, really liking. It basically follows this character named Cora. She is the daughter of King Midas, and after King Midas touched her, and when she was brought back, she kind of had some residual effects from this from being touched of gold. And her father didn't follow the requirements from Dionysus, so she's kind of dealing with the aftermath. She can't touch anyone because if she touches anyone that has gold on them, bad things happen. This book definitely took like an unexpected adventure element that I'm kind of liking. It took some sea elements as well. There is a male character in this book that I'm really, really liking. They're on a ship with a bunch of different types of guys, and I think that that's very, very, very fun. It's a very, very fast-paced read. I can really tell that the pacing is something that I'm liking, and I've always been super fond of Annie Sullivan's characters. I was really fond of her main character in The Tiger Queen, and I find that this one is another one that I'm really enjoying. I like that this has a nice balance between being a political novel, like she's the princess, but also having some seafaring elements. The last sea book I really liked was All the Stars and Teeth. This one doesn't necessarily have mermaids in it, but it does have a lot of like adventuring about that. And then there's the quest element that Cora is with, trying to find the gold that was taken from the castle that's keeping her dad alive. A lot of stuff is happening in this book, but I feel like it's paced very, very well. I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm not sure if I want to read any more tonight or if I want to watch some TV, or I don't really know. But I am going to go watch a couple of episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and The Good Witch, and then I will kind of decide. I might be done for the evening, but I'll definitely come back tomorrow and hopefully be able to finish this tomorrow. But we will see. I will see if I decide if I want to read anymore. But I'll check in with you guys when I make up my mind. Bye. Right here, I'm back. It's August 16th, which is Sunday. Last night I did watch a bunch of TV watching. I wound up watching like 6 episodes of The Good Witch and 1 episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Today is going to be a very, very rainy and wet day, so I definitely am not going to yoga in the park, which is so sad because I like going to yoga in the park. But I'm just going to kind of figure out what I want to do. I do want to maybe spend today in the morning catching up on some of my TV shows that I've neglected, my summer TV shows like Bull Type and Super Stargirl on CW, because I think that those shows might wind up expiring. But I also do want to make some reading progress. So when I left you, I was up to page 100 in Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan. Still really, really liking it. What I think I'm going to do right now is I am going to figure out my Instagram stuff for this week, which I always do at the beginning of the week. Make sure I have everything all organized and set, and just kind of plan my week. Last week I didn't do a lot because I wasn't feeling that well, but this week I hope to accomplish a lot more. Sorry, I'm putting on my Harry Potter necklace. But yeah, so I'm going to go figure out my Instagram stuff, kind of tackle that, and then maybe go and start reading Touch of Gold before my workout. So that's the plan of attack, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Hey, Slurry here, I'm back. It's about 12:17. I did wind up going to yoga, wound up watching a few episodes of, I think I watched one episode of Stargirl, which I'm really, really liking. I'm liking that cast dynamic a lot. I have to catch up on quite a few episodes, so actually I'm going to go do that. But in the interim, I also did wind up reading about 50 pages of A Touch of Gold, so now I'm on page 150. Still really liking it. I'm liking the seafaring elements, how they're becoming a little bit more transparent and they're a little bit more engaged. Really still like Cora as a character. I think she's a very, very unique type of character. And I'm curious to see how this book is going to fare, so I will definitely update you guys when I get up to page, like, 200, because at that point I'll only have, or about 300, or when I read about 50 more pages, because then I'll have about 100 pages left. So, I'm going to go do that, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Right here, I'm back. It's about 2:36, and I did actually wind up reading to page 214 in A Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan. This book definitely is very fast-paced, and there was a lot of twists in the last, like, 50 pages that were revealed, which wasn't necessarily expecting, like, at all. It also made me really curious for the rest of this book. I'm very intrigued about the character dynamics. The romance kind of swapped tracks, I'll say, and I wasn't really expecting that. I am really liking the pirate and the water-themed elements. That's not how this book started off, but I think it's becoming a favorite of mine. I also love that there's a lot of characters in this book to play around with. The magic system in regard to the gold is becoming a little bit more complicated and a little bit more intriguing. Her previous book really didn't have any magic in it. It was more of like a fantasy novel, but there wasn't a clear magic system. This one has a very, very cool magic system that I'm really, really liking. I also like that it has a fairy tale connection because it is a King Midas retelling. The book is definitely going in a direction I really wasn't expecting. It has elements that kind of remind me a little bit of the starting part of the Red Queen series, which I'm really enjoying that part of it. I still really am liking Cora as a character. I think she's super unique and super different. And the relationship between her and her cousin is getting a lot more page time in this book than I was really, like, expecting, but I'm really, really liking it. I also did watch one episode of Stargirl, which means I have like 4 episodes left. I fell a little bit farther behind than I wanted, but I also am really, really liking that. I've said this before. This is the first DC show that really focuses on teenagers. All the other DC shows focus on, like, older characters, but this is the only show that I found from them. I have to watch Teen Titans, which is, or it's a show that came out on their streaming service, but I have to watch that. But that's also focuses on teens. But this book is really on teens, and I'm really, really liking that because that has not been the case in any of the DC shows on CW. They all focus on, like, older characters. So I'm really liking that, but I'm gonna go kind of tackle the rest of this. I'll probably read about 50 more pages, and then I'll give you guys my updates because I want to give you guys them. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to reading, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Larry here, I'm back. It's almost 4:30, and I went up reading about to page 250 in A Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan. Guys, I also watched an episode of Stargirl, and I am emotionally distraught. Like, this series really pulls no punches. There's been a lot of things that have happened in this series that I wasn't necessarily predicting, but I'm really liking it. I think it's very much like a slow burn story, but I'm really, really liking it. So I'm gonna go watch the last couple of episodes and hopefully tackle the rest of A Touch of Gold. I'm really liking this book. I think it definitely changed from what I thought the first part of this book was going to be. It definitely took, like, an unexpected twist. A lot of stuff has changed, but I think I like the second half a lot more. I think it's definitely a book series that I wouldn't mind rereading. After this, I'm going to read the sequel, but she also writes very, very tight stories like Annie Sullivan does. She Tiger Queen was super tight. This story is also very, very tight. It's like a little bit over 300 pages, but it's a very, very tightly wound story. So a lot happens in 300 pages, but it's very, very well crafted, and I'm really, really liking it. I'm curious how this book is going to end. I'm curious if any characters are going to make a reappearance. There's 2 strong romance plots that are kind of going forward, and I wonder where this book is going to end and what the sequel is going to be focused on. But yeah, still really, really liking it. So I'm going to go keep reading, and I'll probably update you guys when I'm done. Bye, guys. Hey, it's Lori here. I'm back. Yesterday was such a weird day because it really rained literally the whole day, so I didn't really get a lot done. But late last night, I did wind up finishing Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan. Actually, let me go get it. Hey guys, Laura here, I'm back. Late last night, I did wind up watching a couple of episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I wound up watching a couple of episodes of The Good Witch. I actually finished season 1 of The Good Witch. It's not that long, it's only 10 episodes. That's the only season of that show that I actually have seen, so now I'm going into new territory, which I'm really excited about. And I also finished Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan, which I wound up really liking. The book definitely took like an unexpected twist some midway through, but I wound up really, really liking it. I thought the end was like a little bit rushed. I'd probably give it like 4.5 stars, but really, really liked it. Definitely excited to read the sequel, which I'm going to read after I pick up this. Aster and the Accidental Magic by Tom Picco and Karen Sack, I think. I wound up picking up this one up at ALA, and it's just like a fun book to read kind of between things. So I'm going to read this, and then I'm probably going to pick up the sequel. But I am going to go do my nonfiction reading for the day and my Skillshare class. Today's like the only day that like I don't do physical work for my job because I feel like I need a little bit of a mental break. But yeah, that's kind of my plan. So I'm going to go do that stuff, and then I'm probably going to go up to my physical therapy appointment. Read a little bit of Winter today is my goal. Go for a bike ride because I didn't wind up doing that at all yesterday because it rained all day. So yeah, I'm gonna go do my homework, I call it, and then I'll check in with you guys. Bye. Sorry, here I'm back. I did wind up going to physical therapy. I wound up walking all the way to town, all the way back, and I wound up listening to a lot of my audiobook of Winter by Marissa Meyer. I also wound up getting up to page 164 in Aster and the Accidental Magic. This book has like 2 sections in it, so you follow one story and then you follow the other story. They're both just so fun. I actually think I'm going to put this down, and I think I'm going to save this for when I'm watching some stuff on TV tonight because I can easily just look up and like the pictures. But it's very, very cute. The first one is about this, she meets this spirit, and she kind of has 3 wishes, and then she doesn't make the right wishes. So that's kind of what the first story is about. And the second story is about the after effects of the first story. So really, really cute. I picked this up at ALA, and I find it to be super adorable. So, because I have a little bit of time, it's only 1 o'clock, I am going to pick up the sequel to A Touch of Gold, Curse of Gold, and that's because I'm on a blog tour for early September. So I think I'm going to go do that, and then I will check in when I make a little bit of reading progress. But that's my plan for Mondays. Normally on Mondays, I don't do any physical work for school because it's a lot and it gets me like very, very like focused, and I don't have enough time on Mondays. But I'm going to go start my book, and I'll give you guys an update when I read a little bit. Bye, guys. Hey, it's Larry here. I'm back. I just want to do a little bit of book mail because it's ironically the books that I'm going to be reading this week. But before that, I want to say that I did wind up reading 2 chapters in Curse of Gold by Annie Sullivan, which is the sequel to, they're all over here, Touch of Gold. I read about 2 chapters in that book, and the one thing I noticed immediately right off the bat is it definitely has a lot more God elements in it. There was like elements of Dionysus in the first book, but this book has a very, very more prominent focus on that. Even in the first like 2 chapters, there are some magical creatures that we're meeting, which I'm intrigued, but I literally wound up reading like 2 chapters. But some fun book mail that I got. I did have e-arcs of these, so I was going to read them anyway, but I am in blog tours for these like in September. So the first physical copy I got was The Quiet You Carry by Nikki Bartlesmith. This is the first book in her series. The second book is actually coming out in September, but this is a contemporary, hard-hitting novel about a young girl that's dealing with kind of the aftermath of a foster care system after her dad her dad lose custody of her. So I'm really excited to dive into this one. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the concepts of the Katie McGarry novels, which has long been a favorite of mine. And I also just today got in a copy in the mail, Furia by Yamilia Said Mendez. And this is a book that also is coming out in September. I'm on a blog tour in early September, but this is about a young girl. It's set in Argentina. And she really wants to be a football star. And her parents are not having it. And on the top it says, a perfect own voices novel for fans of Poet X and Not Your American Daughter, about a rising soccer star who must put everything on the line, even her blooming romance, to follow her dreams. I am craving some sport novels now that we didn't have the Olympics, so I'm really excited to dive into these after I finish Curse of Gold. I'll probably read them in this order. I'll probably read The Quiet You Carry, Furia, and then I'll probably read the sequel so that I have like a little bit of like a mental break between the worlds. But yeah, so that's kind of my reading plans for tonight. I am gonna go eat, and then I'm probably gonna dive into my book because I only wound up reading 2 chapters. But I also did make quite a bit of progress on Winter by Marissa Meyer. Sometimes it doesn't come up when I want it to. But I'm on chapter 57 and I have about 9 hours left, which is more like 5 hours because I'm reading at double speed. But yeah, that's my update for now. And once I make a little bit more progress on Curse of Gold, I will update you guys. Back. It is about 5:30. I did wind up reading up to chapter 5 of A Curse of Gold. Like, I have no page numbers and there's no page numbers on Goodreads either, so I'm just kind of flying by how long this is going to take me. But this book is definitely, as I said in my first update, it definitely feeds a lot more into the Greek mythology path. They're talking about oracles. There's a lot more creatures. She's still very involved with her love interest Royce, who we met and they had their ship adventure in the first book. But there was also, I didn't get to mention this, but I do spy a lot more like diversity in this read. You meet a character who's both lost a hand and doesn't speak, which I thought was a really interesting take. And it also was dealt with a character that we met in the first book, and it's like his little brother. But I'm really liking it. I definitely didn't expect, I don't know what I necessarily expected from this book series, like content-wise, but I'm really liking the dive into Greek mythology. I wasn't necessarily expecting that, but I'm really liking it. There's a lot about Dionysus in this book as well. It kind of reminds me a little bit of when I read Wonder Woman Warbringer. Didn't realize that was going to be so heavily focused on Greek mythology, but I'm liking the oracle element of this book, and whenever I always think of oracles, I always think of Percy Jackson and Rachel Elizabeth Dare, because that was like a big part of that book series. But yeah, I'm gonna go try to read a little bit more, and then I'll update you guys. Bye. Guys, Laurie here. Sorry, it is so late. It is like 3:30. I just wound up finishing my work for the day. Normally, because I am prepping to go back to school, I normally spend Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday all day working, and because I went to yoga this morning, I didn't get a chance to update you guys. But late last night, I did wind up finishing Aster and the Accidental Magic by Tom Piccolo and Karen Zach. I found this book to be really cute. I found the art style to be adorable. I like that it was basically 2 stories in one. That was very magical, and I just found it to be, I think the art style was definitely the highlight of it for me. The story was super fun. One was focused on wishes, the other was focused on the seasons, and I just found it to be super adorable. So this, I wound up giving it like 4.5 stars. We are definitely going to hopefully get a second volume. This is the Random House graphic imprint line. And I have quite a few from them that I got from ALA, but I wound up really liking this one and found it to be a very solid read. Also did make a little bit of reading progress on A Curse of Gold, and I got to like 26 or 27%. I'm going to spend the rest of the evening kind of reading that as background noise before I watch the stuff later on this evening. But yeah, I'm really liking that book. It definitely has a much more of a Greek mythology vibe. There's a solid quest. There's one element in the first book that is kind of coming back to play in the second book, and there's some elements in the first book that really did affect the second book. I like that my cast of characters is pretty much the same from the first book with a couple of new additions. I'm really liking this. I think I'm liking this book a little bit better structure-wise than book 1. I love books about prophecy and Greek gods, and it's really tailing into that right now, which I'm thoroughly really liking. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a mental break. I'm going to go eat. I'm going to go for a bike ride. And then I'm going to come back and I'll update you guys when I start reading again. Bye, guys. Right here, just checking back in. It's about 6:30. I did wind up getting up to chapter 13, which is 38% done in Curse of Gold by Annie Sullivan. Still really, really enjoying this book. This book is definitely feeding into the elements of Greek mythology, which I always like. It's just such a fun read, like very, very fast paced. I'm really curious, like, how it's going to go. This is definitely not a book series I was expecting. Was not what this series type I was expecting, but I'm loving the elements of Greek mythology. I'm loving the seafaring elements in book 1. I think the political elements are super fun. It's really, really engaging, and I'm really, really liking it. I also like that there's a solid quest element in this book, because I think it gives the book like a solid timeline. We're meeting some mythological or myth creatures or characters that we haven't really necessarily heard of before, or we're actually seeing them now, which I'm really, really liking. So I'm going to go back to reading and I'll update you guys when I get up to like 50%, hopefully. Bye, guys. Right here, it is Wednesday, August 19th. I did wind up doing my Skillshare class, which is all about Instagram, and that is probably the social media account that I have the most followers on, but I don't know like anything about Instagram because I kind of started it on like a whim a couple of years ago. If you don't follow me on Instagram, my link is in the description box. I recently changed my name. And I'm contemplating changing my name on this profile as well, but that's a story for another time. But late last night, before I started watching some videos or whatever, I got up to like 50% done in Curse of Gold by Annie Sullivan. Sorry, I don't have a physical copy of it. It's an e-arc on my Kindle. But I'm really liking that book. It has a great feel of Greek mythology and adventure, and I'm really liking it. I'm a big Greek mythology fan. I've said that before. I love the Percy Jackson series. This is definitely a different type of book series, and it has a bunch of different types of tropes, but I'm really enjoying it. It's been very, very rainy recently, like very, very rainy. So I'm going to try to sneak in a bike ride before it pours. And then today's is also a day that I'm going to focus on doing some work for school in the potentiality that we do open in building, which will happen in about 3 weeks. And I don't have anything, well, I mean, I have stuff prepared, but it's not what I need to be prepared because fact is it's going to change a lot. COVID has changed just about everything for schooling, so I really need to kind of prepare myself for that eventuality. So that's kind of my plan for today, is to kind of take a couple hours and focus on that. I'll probably go for a bike ride, and then I'm going to probably spend the rest of the day reading and playing Animal Crossing. But when I come back from my bike ride, I'm going to probably listen to Winter, which I didn't get to listen to yesterday. And yeah, I'll check in with you guys when I'm back from my bike ride. Bye. I got to go for part of a bike ride and then it rained, but I wound up doing an in-person workout. I actually am going to go dive into my school stuff. I'm going to go eat a little bit of lunch and then I'm going to dive in. I have a lot of stuff to prep, a ridiculous amount of stuff, so I'm going to go do that and I'll check in with you guys when I'm done planning for the day. Bye. Hey, Lori here, just checking back in. It's almost 5 o'clock. I did wind up going, well, first of all, I finished work, which is very, very good. I got about 2 weeks done in planning, which could have done worse, could have done better, but I'm happy. I'm still very, very unclear about what they want, but hopefully it all works out. I also do wind up going for a bike ride. I have about 7 hours left in my audiobook for Winter by Marissa Meyer. Sorry, I'm hip cupping. I just wound up eating. But I did also wind up getting up to chapter 18 in A Curse of Gold by Annie Sullivan. I'm 54% done with this book. Still really, really enjoying it. It definitely has more of a questy, supernatural element, focusing a lot on Greek gods. We're meeting some characters or mythological creatures that we've heard about a lot about in Greek mythology, and I'm also really, really liking that. I like that our core group of characters has pretty much stayed the same in this book. We have a few additions, but I am really intrigued. I'm also really intrigued by like the dynamics between the characters. I think that's very, very fun. And I like that we have a very, very strict timetable for this book. Like, it's going to happen in a certain amount of time. I think that adds a lot of intensity to it. So I'm going to go back to reading and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. I'm back. It's about 6 o'clock. I did actually wind up reading to 70% done in A Curse of Gold by Annie Sullivan. I think I'm on chapter like 22 or 23. It's definitely getting a lot. It's adding a lot of tension to the story. I really am liking all the side characters in this read. There's a couple of like smaller side characters that we met in book one, and their stories just kept on getting expanded. There's definitely a very, very solid and consistent romance in this story. I like that we are still focusing on Cora and her sister Hetty's relationship. I've always found that relation to be super charming. The setting changes a lot in this book, like dramatically. But the one thing I'm really liking is the elements of Greek gods. It was kind of focused on in book one, but it's really diving into book two. I'm really, really liking it. I am gonna take a little bit of an Animal Crossing break because I have to watch some other things tonight that won't let me play Animal Crossing. So I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna play for like 45 minutes. I really hope to finish my paying off my house to see what's next. We'll see if that does anything. But then I'm probably just going to read for the rest of the night. I have about 20% left in this, so I hope to finish the rest of it today. If not, that's okay, but that's kind of my plan of attack. So when I'm done with Animal Crossing, I'll update you guys. Bye. We're here. I just wanted to come in and start this day of my reading week vlog. That was awkward wording. But it is 11:05. I did wind up going for a bike ride. I wound up listening to a little bit more of Winter. I did do my nonfiction reading. I have to go and do my Skillshare class, but I did wind up finishing Curse of Gold by Annie Sullivan. I really wound up liking this book. I think I struggled a little bit with the pacing in this book, to be a little bit honest. But other than that, really, really fun read. I thought that there was a nice balance between the romance and the action. I loved how the myth elements were very, very pronounced in this read. I like that it had a solid conclusion to it. We can always get more books, but I really, really enjoyed that. So I'm going to go do my Skillshare class, and then I'm going to start work for the day, which is a lot. I'll say it's a lot. But yeah, so that's kind of my plan of attack, and I will talk to you guys when I'm done with work for the day. Bye. I'm actually here to wrap up this reading vlog because I did want to finishing both the whole series. I'll try to find the first one. Touch of Gold and Curse of Gold by Annie Sullivan. This second book does come out in early September. I am on a blog tour for it, so I'm probably just going to toss this reading vlog into that post. But I wound up really liking the series. It definitely was not a series that I was necessarily expecting. Not at all. But I wound up really liking it. I think if I had to choose, I would say I like the structure of book one and I like the pacing of book one very, very much. But I liked like the elements of book two. Like I liked how book two dived a lot into like the mythology, and I liked how book two had a nice balance between the romance and the adventure story. I like that we got some new characters in the second book, but I struggled a little bit with the pacing, I'll be a little bit honest, and but overall, I wound up giving it 4 stars. I gave both books 4 stars. This is definitely one of my authors that I will definitely read more of in the future. I really loved her book Tiger Queen. I loved Touch of Gold. I also really like Curse of Gold. I also did finish reading, which really had nothing to do with series, but I also wound up reading Aster and the Accidental Magic by Tom Piccolo. The sequel is coming out in early 2021. But this one was just a really, really fun middle grade read that I wound up really, really liking. So I'm gonna go start my next reading vlog, and I'll talk to you guys later. Let me know in the comments what are some fantasy books you have been reading, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.